tout le monde. Alors, bienvenue dans un nouvel épisode de cette série de live, de direct sur LinkedIn. Speak English like a leader. Et aujourd'hui, on va se pencher sur un sujet très important, c'est la négociation. La négociation en anglais qui est omniprésente. Finalement, on négocie tout le temps. And as you know, it's going to be mostly in English. I just introduce it a little bit in French and then at the end also I will wrap up in French. Donc, comme tu le sais, si tu me suis, ces lives sont principalement en anglais. J'introduis un petit peu en français et je conclus aussi en français pour clarifier certains points pour ceux qui en ont besoin. Sinon, c'est principalement en anglais parce que la meilleure manière d'évoluer, bien évidemment, c'est de pratiquer. So, today we are going to speak about how to negotiate like a leader in French. And I'm going to share three tips that are inspired by actually top negotiator, international negotiator that his name is Phil De Picciotto. Anyway, he negotiates for world-class athletes. But before that, avant d'aller dans le vif du sujet, je vais me présenter pour ceux qui me découvrent à travers cette vidéo. Qui suis-je? Moi, c'est Aurélie Edijimo, aka Oh Really. C'est vraiment comme ça que je me présente en anglais parce qu'Aurélie, c'est très francophone. Bref, moi, j'ai toujours été attirée par le domaine international, les voyages, le monde interculturel. C'est pourquoi j'ai commencé ma carrière professionnelle en droit et plus précisément en droit européen et en droit international et j'ai pu travailler dans des organisations internationales. En parallèle, je donnais déjà des cours de langue pour des professionnels qui souhaitent aussi accéder à ce monde, cet univers international. Et il y a déjà presque 7 ans, j'ai décidé d'en faire mon métier à plein temps. Et aujourd'hui, ces dernières années, j'accompagne particulièrement des dirigeants, des entrepreneurs, des experts francophones à déverrouiller ou dérouiller leur anglais oral et gagner en aisance, en impact, en crédibilité et aussi en opportunité à l'international. Je le fais grâce à ma méthode des 5 C, qui est une méthode basée sur les neurosciences et aussi à ce que j'appelle en anglais de leadership communication. Bref, si tu veux en savoir plus sur comment cette méthode peut s'appliquer à ton cas, contacte-moi en message privé. Okay, now let's go. 3 tips today, as I mentioned, 3 practical tips to negotiate like a leader in English. And as I mentioned from the beginning, negotiation is everywhere. You negotiate when you discuss deadlines, divide responsibilities, choose priorities with the client, decide roles in a project, even agree on where to go to dinner for dinner with your spouse, with your friends. Well, it's literally everywhere. So that's why it's important to master this skill to go forward in your objectives, goals, your projects, and your affairs. And the first practical tip, inspired, as I mentioned, from top negotiator Phil De Picciotto. You can Google him if you want to know who is that guy. But these are his tips. And also, by the way, what I'm sharing is also based on my newsletter, or really speak English like a leader. So if you rather read what I'm sharing, you can subscribe to my newsletter and find the link on my profile. And right now, I'm actually checking if I'm actually live correctly on LinkedIn. Yeah, so this is live. I need to interrupt myself. Yeah, it's working. Anyway, great. So the first tip that is of utmost importance is, of course, to know your facts. But not only knowing your facts, but also knowing theirs. And here we go. You will see it on the screen. Know your facts and theirs. So prepare your results, your value, your numbers. This is very important. Many people struggle to say numbers in English or in a second language. So even learn saying the numbers in English, practice before, so you are not hesitating and you show confidence saying key figures, key numbers. Also prepare their priorities, their constraints, their goals, their risks, and anticipate reactions. Anticipate what the person may say and avoid surprises as much as possible. Of course, that will help you to stay calm and credible during the negotiation process. This is of utmost importance. And how do you prepare that? Well, pay attention to the key vocabulary involved in the negotiation, the key arguments, the key questions that may be asked. Prepare the questions, prepare the answers, so you'll feel more comfortable and you will be able to really master the conversation and lead the conversation and direct the conversation where you want it to go. All right, so tip number one, know your facts and theirs. Then, the second tip that is very important, especially when we think about speaking another language, a second language, most of the time we feel like we are going to change, which is normal because when we speak another language, the language is attached to another culture, to another way of communicating. And many times we have the feeling maybe that we need to put on a mask and that we are not ourselves. And if you feel that way, that's normal. And it's actually proven scientifically that in a way we are different in another language. But still, my second tip is to choose a style but stay authentic. Choose your English style, let's say. So there is no correct negotiation style. You can be direct, you can be calm, warm, firm, structured, energetic. What matters the most is not really the style, but is you being comfortable and authentic with the style you choose. So when you prepare a talk, an intervention in English, think about the style. How do you feel comfortable in English? Or which style would you like to embrace? Let's say, for instance, for me, when I speak English, I think I'm rather calm and warm. Maybe I even have a sort of softness, but I'm still structured. And this is who I am. It reflects my personality, and I'm comfortable with that. Okay, so think a moment. Now you can pause for a second if you're watching this live or the replay. By the way, if you're watching that live or what if you're watching the replay, please let me know. Comment this video, like this video so I know who is watching. And yeah, it helps me to keep going. Anyway, so choose your style, be authentic. You don't need to be aggressive if that's not you, honestly. It will actually be counterproductive. It will feel forced and fake, ineffective, and people won't trust you. Stick with your style and rehearse it. Imagine yourself in the situation. Picture yourself with that style. Rehearse your key sentences or key phrases, trying to convey the style you want to have. Moving on to tip number 3. That is going to appear now on the screen. Be clear, concise, and value focused. And this third tip is gold for English learners because what you need to know is what is important is not a perfect English, not at all. You can have a perfect English, very complex, beautiful sentences generated with ChatGPT, those perfect, elaborated English sentences that we can generate thanks to artificial intelligence nowadays. You can do that and still fail with that third tip of being clear, concise, and value focused. What is important is to get your story straight. This is actually an expression, an interesting one to learn if you don't know it. Get your story straight. And what does it mean? It means be clear in your mind, be concise, and know and prepare your message. Prepare your main message, your main point. What is it that you want to communicate? What is the value you want to bring? What is your main goal? Thinking about the negotiation at stake. And it's all about transmitting your key message successfully. And in order to be successful, you don't need to sound complex or use very elaborated, advanced C2, C3, C4 English. No, it's about, at the end of the day, simple words. Even native speakers do choose this approach to transmit their message with impact, with clarity. And this is something you can practice. Think about maybe your next negotiation or your next intervention in English. What's your key message? How can you share it in a way that is succinct, that is clear, and that is value focused? Think about that. Prepare that, practice that. Practice is always key. And then another promise that I had for you during this live is to share with you some key sentences, actually, template or model of sentences you can use during some negotiation in English. Because our top negotiator advises to avoid using all the time I want. This can sound demanding, negative, and it could create friction if you keep on saying I want and might be a bit too direct, saying I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. Because negotiation must be a win-win situation. Another expression that you may use and incorporate in your vocabulary, where both sides can benefit from the situation. And this needs to be reflected in the way you communicate in English. That's how you negotiate like a leader. You sound like you are offering a win-win situation and not just I want, me, me, me. That's what I get from the negotiation. So, what can you say instead of I want? Now, I'm going to share 7 phrases without saying all the time I want. What can you say instead? This can inspire you. Let's start with sentence number 1. If you want to express interest and open the conversation, instead of saying I want, you can say I'd like to explore how we could work together on this. Just a simple alternative. I'd like to, similar to I want, right? Explore, it's a bit more open. You sound open, you don't sound like demanding. How we could work together on this. All right? Sentence number 2. For you not to say I want, you can say to make an offer instead of saying I want to, I don't know what to say, um, buy this or sell this for this price, or I want to get that advantage. Instead of saying that, you can say here's what I can propose. You can even say suggest based on the value delivered. Here's what I can propose. Okay. Next, Another sentence instead of I want. Number 3, to frame value instead of demand. As we said at the beginning, it's all about the value you bring. So you can literally say that by saying, what I bring to the table is. So, what is the value that you're bringing? What I bring to the table is my expertise throughout the whole collaboration. Excellent. Let's move on to number 4. Instead of saying I want, when you want to express compromise, when you're compromising, you can say, here we go. Let me see if it. Yes. This one. My bad. I'm open to a solution that works for both sides. As simple as that. Instead of saying I want, say I'm open to a solution that works for both sides. And these are sentences that you can rehearse. You can pick your favorite one. You can adapt them to your style, to your situation. You don't have to learn everything. It's also about preferences. Okay, so we were with number 4. Now let's move on to number 5. A way to express disagreement without conflict. You can say, I see it differently. Let me explain why. All right, we're always open. It's a win-win situation when we are negotiating, and we want it to be reflected in the way we communicate in English. And that's how we lead the conversation, and we speak English like a leader, which is the title of this series. All right, number 6, to talk about pricing, budget discussion. You could say, based on the scope and impact, a fair range would be, etc. By the way, everything is on the screen. I hope you noticed that. Let's continue. I'm almost done actually with the last sentence, key sentence that you can use instead of I want is, sorry, I got distracted. To close the deal is the following. If we can align on these points, we can move forward. All right, you want to show that you are willing to agree, you're willing to align on a certain point, and that you want to move forward. If we can align on these points, we can move forward. Excellent. All right, I was distracted because I thought someone wanted to join me live. I had a notification, but it was gone. Because, by the way, I'm opening the studio for anyone willing to practice 2 minutes the English with me live. It's new. It's a new offer. I'm not sure if anyone would want to join, but I don't mind. I have a lot to say and entertain you anyway. Hopefully. So here we are. We went through key elements to negotiate in English like a pro. And one thing that is extremely important is, as you know, to prepare yourself if you're not comfortable in English. As I mentioned at the beginning, know your facts, know also the facts of the other party. Choose a style, but stay authentic to yourself. You don't have to be aggressive or energetic if it's not yourself. You can be calm, warm, just be authentic, because negotiation is all about trusting the other person. And as human, unlike robots, like AI, we have some intuition, we can have a feeling about whether the person is fake or not. So find your English style. And it may take some time. Actually, if I can speak from experience, it took me some time to find my English voice, to find a style that fits with who I am, yet that is different to the way I speak French, the way I speak Spanish. I also speak Spanish, speak some Portuguese, some Lingala, some Dutch. I'm different in each languages, but still I'm myself in a way. And sometimes you need to practice, to listen to yourself, to find models as well, and find your authentic English self, right? And stick to it. And of course, as we said, be clear, concise, value focused is not about speaking like Shakespeare. Actually, Shakespeare's texts are really difficult to understand. And you want to make sure you're clear, right? You're not a puzzle to solve. People don't have time. We have limited attention nowadays. So it's important to go straight to the point and prepare your key message. This is something I repeat all the time in my coaching sessions, in my lives, in my English content. At the end of the day, you speak English like a leader when you had the impact you want to have, reached when you reached the goal you had in mind, not necessarily when you spoke English perfectly or using advanced words or vocabulary. You need to pick those key words that reflects your message, that reflects your personality, your influence. Have those prepared, have your key sentences prepared, then the rest will flow. We are coming to an end already. J'espère que vous avez bien aimé ce que j'ai partagé. J'ai bugué là en switchant en français. À chaque fois, je bug avec le vous et le tu. Donc, moi, je vous, toi. Parce que quand je viens de l'anglais, je pense on tu. Bref, j'espère que ce contenu a été utile et que tu as pu suivre. Si tu es là jusqu'au bout, ben, bravo. Ça fait quand même plus de 20 minutes. Merci d'avoir regardé cette vidéo jusqu'ici. Et si tu as des questions, n'hésite pas à m'écrire, à me contacter en message privé. Si tu souhaites avoir plus d'informations sur la négociation en anglais ou si tu souhaites savoir comment je peux t'aider particulièrement dans ton cas, comment tu peux améliorer ta communication orale et parler anglais avec plus d'impact. Et comme promis, je vais récapituler un petit peu en français parce qu'on m'a dit que parfois c'est difficile de tout suivre en anglais et je vais le faire très brièvement. J'ai partagé 3 astuces importantes pour parler anglais like a leader. Et le premier, c'est connaître ses faits, connaître sa matière et aussi celle du parti opposant. Et ça comprend vraiment tout, connaître ses résultats, sa valeur, ses nombres, ses chiffres. Important les chiffres, j'ai dit, parce que souvent on bug dans les chiffres en anglais. Et c'est normal. Donc c'est important de réviser s'il y a des gros chiffres à dire, de les dire avant en anglais pour pas être hésitant au moment où il faut dire un prix. C'est très important ça. Connaître ses objectifs, ses risques, anticiper les réactions, les questions et les préparer afin d'être calme et crédible tout le long de l'intervention et d'être le moins possible déstabilisé finalement. Ensuite, j'ai parlé du fait de choisir son style, qu'il n'y a pas de style qui est correct. Peu importe, le plus important c'est de se sentir à l'aise, confortable et être authentique. Pas besoin de parler avec plein d'énergie, comme parfois les Américains peuvent être le cliché. Le plus important c'est de se retrouver dans son anglais. Et c'est normal d'être différent en anglais comme en français parce que finalement ce sont 2 langues différentes. Le tout est de choisir son style, le pratiquer et petit à petit ça va devenir naturel. Ensuite, très important, le 3e point c'est d'être clair, concis et se concentrer sur la valeur qu'on apporte. Et j'ai parlé de cette expression get your story straight. Donc ça veut dire vraiment avoir son message clé. Quel est le message clé que tu souhaites véhiculer. Que ça soit hyper clair dans ton esprit. Sois concis, prépare ton message, connais ta valeur, connais tes objectifs. Et évite de dire I want. J'ai partagé cette phrase pour cette alternative de I want pour I want en English, en anglais. Et pour s'assurer de vraiment avoir ce win-win situation, cette situation gagnant-gagnant. Et voilà principalement ce que j'ai partagé durant ce live. Si tu es encore là, ben, félicitations, bravo et merci d'avoir regardé jusqu'au bout. Je vais conclure ici. Si tu as aimé, like cette vidéo and I'll see you next week for another episode of the series Speak English Like a Leader. Come to practice, to interact with me. It will be fun. At least I'm having fun.